Shane, thank you for joining me on GV Talks.
No worries, mate. Good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Have you had a flat chat day today?
Standard Saturday, or now anyway, because our eldest son Jacob, he's back at soccer. So they've got community sport back up and running for juniors, which is really good. So he plays soccer at 12:30, so right smack bang in the middle of the day, which isn't an ideal time because you virtually lose your whole Saturday. Although we can't really go anywhere at the moment. So, and then my wife works in one of our retail stores each Saturday as well. And then normally once she gets home in the afternoon, we normally do a few things with the kids. But I'm here with you now.
No, great. Do you ever miss a game?
Look, he's only just started this year. My wife gets a little bit disappointed that she doesn't get to come. Not that deliberately, she misses out, but the fact that our businesses are also very important, and she spends a lot of time with the kids during the week and focusing on being a mother, obviously, and then on weekends that's her time in the shop as well. Until the draw come out, there's early games, but unfortunately we're at 12:30. So he's played I think 6 or 7 games this year, and I wouldn't miss it. One of us would always be there as well. So, and look, the reality is only parents can go, or guardians. So no grandparents are allowed to go to the games or any other family members at the moment. So it's been enjoyable. The first week was tested my patience, to say the least. Little 4 and 5 year olds running around playing soccer. It's the basics of how do you not see the white line to not run out of it? How do you not know that you're going that way to kick a goal? So it was pretty good, but they pick it up very quickly, and it's amazing the competitive nature that they start to bring in. Oh, Dad, who are we playing this week? How many goals am I going to kick? Or hopefully we beat them. Whereas we never used to speak about it like that at home because you sort of had no reason because they weren't playing sport. So it's good.
Yeah, so it's increased the bond between you and him?
Yeah, it's good. I guess leading in to the weekend, I'll be like, we're playing soccer this weekend, and we're going to play, they're like the Little Rascals or Northern Knights or these little games, and he goes, I'm like, you remember that team? They were the ones with the black t-shirt. Oh, they were good, Dad. How are we going to beat them this time? I said, it's very simple. We just kick more goals than them. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's good. He enjoys it, and it probably now makes it a bit more natural in the backyard when we're, kicking the soccer or football around, where he's really wanting to do it now. Whereas, I was like, hey, do you want to come out and have a kick of soccer or footy? So, no, he's good.
No, great. Before we get too deep into it, do you want to let the Shepparton people know who you are?
Yeah, it might be a good idea. So obviously Shane Sali, was born here in Shepparton. I've spent my whole life here. Got a long-standing family history in the area, in the fact that my grandfather migrated out from Albania back in 1928 here, and then my mum's father came a little bit later to sort of Fremantle was the initial starting point before they made their way over here to Victoria. And I've got 2 younger brothers, Nathan and Ron, and I'm married to Lydia, and we've got 2 boys, Jacob and Lachlan. So Jacob's 5 and Lockie will be 3 in December. Involved in local family business here, so we own Traffic, Shop 221 and Arcade Fashions, and I've got some family across a number of other industries, sort of agriculture and transport as well. So I've had a really good upbringing in the fact that I've got a really natural connection with other industries, which I think helps me on the path that I'm going now with putting my hand up for council. It's always good, rather than trying to learn something about an industry, if you just sort of know it because you've grown up there. I grew up on the orchard, I grew up on a transport around trucks and getting an understanding of how they all work, and hopefully it provides me with some good knowledge moving forward.
Do you think running businesses and being involved in other businesses with your family and stuff like that has given you a sense of people being dependent on you, which may help you with your current venture?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, one thing I really noticed when I got involved in the family business, so before that I was an account manager at the Telstra Business Centre, so out and about, basically looking after parts of Northern Victoria, trying to convince them to sign up their Telstra accounts with us here in Shepparton. And that was really good because it gave me a good opportunity to respect, a workplace where you're not the boss as such. Do you know what I mean? So respect management, everyone's equal, we're all one big team. So then when I got involved in the family business, we already had, my mum and dad have been doing it for a very long time, and we've already got that really family culture.
Yeah.
And now more than ever, so when COVID hit, it was really good. It's probably the only positive you could bring out of the whole situation is that when it hit, we came together even closer as like staff and ownership, like a big family, and sort of say, look, we're in this together, we're going to get through it, and if we all help each other, then we'll give ourselves the best opportunity to be on the other side, still open and being able to offer the products and services that we do. So, yeah, I mean, look, I guess to answer your question, I've gone about it a long way, but I don't think so. I think it just, it's just natural, working with the team, and that's, I play footy, the businesses I'm involved in, and it'd be similar with council. If you can't work together as a team, you got no hope. So.
How do you build a team culture with your employees?
Giving them a sense of ownership. That's probably one thing that I've I've tried to bring in, I guess, as well. Everybody loves responsibility. Yeah, I think that.
100%.
Yeah, so I think, and it could even be the simple ones of, here's the key to the shop, you're opening now. Here's the alarm code, here's the process of how we open now. Here's, you're now going to take control of our social media. They'll ring me and say, oh, Shane, such and such is called. I've told them that you're going to give them a call back. I'm like, oh, what do they want? And they'll be like, oh, this is what it's about. I'm like, no, you call them back. This is what it's about. Are you sure? Yeah, no, do it. So I really want everyone to be on that level playing field. The reality is I just more have probably those after hours stresses rather than the daily stresses of when we're at work with each other, because we do share it as a big family. I love when I get on our social media and I see the girls doing Insta stories and talking, and I send a message, I'm like, that's so good. You sound so good. You should be proud of yourself. I love that. So, and then they tend to do it more often. And I don't just say it to pump them up, in a fake way. I genuinely mean it. I give positive criticism. But if they do a good job, I let them know straight away. So and similar, I guess, with sort of a council side of things, is that my dad wouldn't be able to do that because he's at a different generation where he doesn't understand the social media and what it takes to stand in front of a mirror and talk and have the confidence to do that.
Yes. And
I really respect the girls for putting themselves out there and doing that, because we do live in a judgmental society, and for them to do that, I really commend them, and I let them know every single time. So,
how do you deal with your employees when they do a bad job?
I don't think they've ever done a bad job. I wouldn't sort of use that word as such. It's more, look, we pride ourselves on giving really good, honest service from a local level. And, you got product, so no business, it can't be successful without a good product. An exclusive product is ideal, but your product is why people are coming in there, and then obviously being able to offer them the experience of speaking with locals, girls that are invested in the community and being able to support them. So every now and then, you might get a customer complaint, but at times it could be something that's so small, but I address every sort of concern that may be raised within the business about anything. I tell the girls, you're the eyes and ears on the ground for me. I need to know what the customers are thinking. I need to know what you're thinking. So it's not probably anything they do bad, because, like I said, we're one big family, and they have that sense of ownership, and with that, they treat it like their own business. So I always say, how would you handle this? What would you do? It is your business. What do you think we should do?
And that's just coming back to giving them responsibility.
Yeah. We haven't got 100 staff. So
100 staff.
We don't. What I'm saying is, we don't have 100 staff. So it's not as if I'm not across everything that's happening throughout the day, or getting the phone calls about whatever it might be. But they need to take responsibility.
Yeah.
And I'll never say they've done a bad job. It's more about this is what you could improve on next time, or when you're speaking to the customer or sending a package, make sure you do it like this, make sure you do it like that. So, but hey, I've got my own father telling me how to, continue to be better at what I'm doing as well. So, I'm not there with an iron fist saying this is how we need to do it, but I get it 24/7. When you work in a family business, your phone's never off.
Yes.
And you get phone calls at virtually any time of the night about anything. And I'm not Monday to Friday. So the reality is I'm getting, feedback as well, and I also pass feedback on to them.
Yeah, great.
So it goes both ways.
Can you tell me how you decided to run for council specifically in the short term? Like, when did the idea cross your mind?
Look, I'm on the Shep Show Me committee, and that's a council committee. And I won't bore you too much about that, but basically, council have Section 86 committees, although they're actually stopping now because the state government's brought a stop to them. But you virtually run under the same rules as what a council does. You're effectively responsible for marketing our community, Shepparton in particular, because it was Shepparton, Show Me, and we were the marketing body of council and investing into that space to obviously attract people to come here to shop, dine and play. And I've been the chair for 2 years, and last year when we had our AGM, like anything, you go to the AGM and you want to nominate to be chair, and you've got the support, but until it's all signed off, you don't probably sort of convince yourself that, okay, yes, I am going to be chair, and that gives me another year of experience of understanding the process of how council works. Now, I don't agree with the process on a lot of things, right? So it's not about I'm becoming a councillor before I've already been one. It's like anything in any industry, there is a process.
Yeah.
And you need to understand it to be better at it. So I've said that, if I'm lucky enough to be chair, it'll give me another 12 months of experience of learning as much as I possibly can. Council elections are coming up. I'll see how I go through the year, and like anything, you can only consider it for so long. And probably around June, I sort of started reaching out to community leaders and family and friends and saying, hey, look, I'm considering running for council. What do you think? And it was almost to the point where if X amount of people would have told me you shouldn't run, I wouldn't have done it, because you can't do it without support.
Yes.
So I just kept going, and everyone was saying, yeah, you should do it. And I don't know if I was waiting for someone to say, you shouldn't do it. So everyone was really supportive of me wanting to do it. Obviously, they outlined some of the challenges that I will face. Well, obviously, if I get elected, that you face along the lines, but they're all things that you work through. As councillors, you're a team, and you're never going to do anything on your own, and that's the beauty of it as well. So probably around mid-year, I started to actually, yes, I am going to run, rather than consider it to the last week.
Yeah, I was working at a gym in Warrnambool, and my manager said, because I was complaining that I wanted to do all this amazing stuff, and he said, you have to do all the processes first, and then if that's not working, then we will entertain these new ideas that you have to bring these people through the doors.
Yeah.
So we kind of needed to go through the process before I could start doing everything that I wanted to do. And that's where, when he told me that, that's when it kind of sank in that you got to do these boring things first before you can start implementing all these new ideas. Is that kind of how it would be at council?
Yeah, it's also, so the Shep Show Me meetings, all of them were in the council boardroom, where the council meetings are. So I'm very comfortable with the environment. I know where everyone is within that building in regards to the certain areas or departments. It's the old saying, look, I know where the boardroom is, I know where the kitchen is, I know where the bathroom is. So on day one, I don't need to know about that. I'm comfortable. I know all the executive staff already. I've had relationships with them in regards to with Shep Show Me, because a lot of them sat around the table with Shep Show Me, and then also some personal dealings outside of Shep Show Me with just general things that happen within the CBD. So it's really good that I can go in there and I can acknowledge these people from the start, and we've already got that sort of natural bond over the years.
Yes.
But in saying that if I am lucky enough to be a councillor, then we're responsible for those executive staff, and they've got to follow the direction of the councillors. So,
when you went around asking for people's support, did anyone tell you not to do it?
A few people said, "Do you know what you're going to get yourself into?" And I said, "You're going to convince me not to run." But no, it was more. I don't think anyone could dispute the fact of, someone that's, well, I'm 33, so I don't know if that's young. It's traditionally not an age that most people would put their hand up to run for council. So, I'm not going to say I'm young or old, but it's not traditional for a 33-year-old business owner and operator, married with young kids and still playing local footy to say, hey, I want to run for council. It's normally people that have a bit more time on their hands, perhaps already in that political circle and want to advance their skills a little bit more differently. So I think people probably look at it and say, it'll be really good to get a real person who's on the ground, connected to the community, sitting around our table. That's generally a lot of the responses I got. So, that was from, I've probably spoken to over 100 individual people. Not necessarily about should I run for council, but once you get to the point of announcing, then trying to get as much information as you can about, what are the things that are important within our region and some of the things that I need to work on so I can best prepare for if I'm given that opportunity.
Yeah. I'm not from Shepparton, so maybe you can explain this to me. But I noticed you had John and Agatha support you. Who are those guys in the community?
Yeah, so John and Agatha Anderson, they owned, only just recently exchanged hands, so they owned John Anderson Pharmacy, which is not too far from this studio here, for about 40 years.
Wow.
So how that came about, and I'm so lucky to have John Anderson specifically endorse me for my election.
Yeah.
And we started to sort of form a bit of a relationship earlier this year. So the Maud Street Mall has been a hot topic for about 25 years or more. And it's sort of been laughable, to be honest, the last 5 or 6 years. And John Anderson, who's the president of the Chamber of Commerce, basically drove that project to the point where council made a decision to open up the mall and invest the money into redeveloping that space, which is great. But
it's great.
Fantastic. But the plan that they proposed, the councillors, didn't align with the Chamber's vision, and I wasn't overly supportive of it either. That's just my personal view. So John wanted support from retailers, and I have a huge amount of respect for John and Ags obviously as well, and I said, yeah, I'm going to get right behind you. We need a consensus. There's nothing worse when you go to council with 30 different opinions.
Yes.
And Chamber of Commerce are an official body, so we made sure that everything we did came under the Chamber of Commerce umbrella, so that way it can be documented properly. We can get the official response on any suggestions we put forward, and as I say, the rest is history. The mall's going to be opened up next year. They're still working on final detailed design and exactly sort of how it looks, but it'll be a road virtually from Fry Street exiting at High Street with parking either side, which is really good. So it provides a really good flexible platform to attract commercial investment, which I think is important, and it also entices on-shop living and things that we're doing here today as well. I mean, I'd love to see this through the whole CBD, and there's so many buildings that actually have second story either office spaces now, or they're used for storage. We've just got to try and work with the owners of those buildings to convince them to set up virtually what you've done here. So John and I formed a really close relationship through this period of time, and he was probably one of the main reasons why I did want to run for council, because you're always going to have family support. Your family are always going to say, yeah, it's good, Shane, you should do it. The standard response. But you need someone sort of outside your family circle to be able to lean on and be able to get those that honest feedback that you need. And I had a chat with John, and he said, yeah, 100% you should do it. And I said, well, I'll do it if you back me. If you genuinely think I should do it and you support me, I'm going to do it, because I sort of can't do it without you, if that makes sense, because I need someone who's experienced. He actually was on council as well, a while back as well. Successful business person, very well connected with the community, and a really calm person, which is what you need. And it's not necessarily someone that I need to help me do it, but you're always going to need someone to fall back on or be able to speak to about anything. And John and his wife Agatha have been absolutely fantastic, and I'm grateful that they're willing to support me.
Yeah. Do you know why the bus stops haven't been used yet?
The ones down here on Vaughan Street,
Yeah.
or Maud Street, I should say. Yeah, so they will be used. They're just
waiting for the CFA to move.
Part of that, but also the redevelopment here on Maud Street.
Traffic lights.
Yeah, which will, from High Street to Vaughan Street, which will upgrade the roundabout, down at Coles there.
Yes.
So when that gets upgraded to lights, and then this half of Maud Street will also get redeveloped.
Yeah.
And then the fire station will move out. That hasn't impacted the buses, because the buses still used to always go there and stop where they do now.
Yeah.
Opposite
Vinny's there.
Yeah, Vinny's and those 3 other businesses that are down there as well. So they've always been there. I think it's just more the ability of them being able to sort of commute through that intersection with the roundabout and all those types of things. But that will be, and this is public knowledge. It's not anything that no one else would know. It's just how far you want to look into it. But I think that will be finished possibly by mid next year. So you're basically going to have that completed, and hopefully the Maud Street Mall completed by the end of next year. So this whole strip from Fry Street to Vaughan Street is state of the art. It's going to be amazing. So
yeah, it's a great strip, and it's sad to see so many stores empty. What businesses do you think would fill those stores? Because I spoke to Alistair Hand once, and he said it would be amazing if they were full of food stores. And I loved that idea when he was pitching it to me, because I love that all the food stores are right there on Fry Street. And if you had them fill all those Maud Street stores up as well, it would just be a hub for the community. That was an idea that I got pitched, and I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's why I said to you, providing the platform is council's responsibility. So investing into, commercial infrastructure to at least give businesses an opportunity to invest in there is where you've got to start. So clearly that's going to be happening now. If I said to you, and this is what a lot of people don't realise, it's not that easy to open up a business.
Yeah.
Right? So people say, we should do this or we should do that. But if I said to you, I can give you any shop you want that's empty right now, free rent, but in 1 month you've got to tell me what business you're opening and you've got to go and do it, what would you do? And you've legitimately got to invest into it. And I'll give you a free shop.
How big is the shop?
Oh, just, pick anyone.
I'd put a gym in there.
You would?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would. But the average... But the point is that when I ask people that question, they go, I don't know, I'd put food, or, I don't know, I'd put fashion, or...
Yeah.
But what?
What exactly?
Yeah, what? And you're going to pay to set it up? Do you know what I mean? So we've got the buildings. It's just that we just don't have the people right now that want to invest into a commercial business.
So what's the solution to that?
Well, clearly providing a platform that would entice them. Yeah. So the Maud Street Mall has always struggled after hours.
Yes.
Because once your retail stores close down, it's quite dark. There has been at times security concerns there of basically, people having to park it outside the mall and walk in. So that obviously provides challenges. But we have had businesses, I hear them because they say, I've had businesses that have wanted to invest into the Maud Street Mall, but they go, we rely on after hour access of people being able to come here, whether it's for appointments or to dine, but they just don't feel comfortable walking in. So I envisage that if once you open up the Maud Street Mall, it's not for retail, it's not for food, it's for services. So why can't a hairdressing salon open?
Yes.
So then after hours, people can still park in there, and majority of hair salons are female, so you need to provide that safe environment for them to be able to operate their business after hours, and then have the access of car parking out the front so they feel safe when they walk out as well. Clearly you're always going to have food, you're going to have retail. Why can't we have real estate agents? Why can't we have professional service like accountancy firms, invest in there? You're going to have,
It makes so much sense now.
That's what I look at. So there's a few things that you need from, if you're a commercial business. You want street frontage, slow moving traffic, traffic flow.
Yes.
and car parking. They're normally your three main priorities because you get 24/7 marketing because people can constantly drive past your business. You got parking where people can at least try and get a park close to your business, and obviously street frontage. Well, that makes sense, rather than sort of being in a back little alleyway or anything like that.
Yeah.
We don't have a big enough population to not entice businesses to be on the main thoroughfares.
Yes.
And people always compare, well, why does High Street have so many empty shops or Wyndham Street? Well, the reality is that you've got B-double trucks driving down there. You've got half the amount of parking because you've only got parking on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
It's double lane. It's a highway. It's technically a highway. You cannot compare High Street, as in traffic movement, to Friar Street.
Yeah.
It's, yourself. It's
Yes.
two different types of thoroughfares. So
That's a great point.
yeah, so they're different. And maybe as time goes along, perhaps when the bypass is, ever gets off the ground, which is, there's talk of a second bridge, or I guess a third bridge crossing, but a second heavy vehicle bridge crossing to connect North Shepparton, which would be the Ford Road, Wanganui Road bypass that connects into Marupna, which effectively would divert all the heavy vehicles.
Yeah.
So then, you would know more than anyone how loud it can be here with trucks and buses and, constantly coming through, all hours of the night. And if they can sort of be taken away from our CBD in a safe way, then, who knows? Then High Street, might all of a sudden become the next Friar Street.
Yes.
Because you've got less traffic and less heavy vehicle traffic.
Just one more quickly on this. My understanding was Maud Street used to have a road going through it.
Yeah, it did. Before my time.
Okay. So it was a long time ago.
Yeah, I think it might have been... Oh, look, obviously there was always a street, and then they converted to the mall in the late 80s.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
Irrelevant now.
Well, look, the way it was, and I've actually done a bit of research on it, not that it really matters too much now, but when malls were big in the US, Australia always follows someone.
Yeah.
We never really seem to be a leader in anything. I don't know, I feel like, it's just, and that's okay depending on what it is and how far you are behind it. So, I've been in the US before and I haven't been to China as such. And, people will say that, we're 20 years behind the US and we're 50 years behind China, in the fact of modernising and technology and what they're doing and how they're doing it. But it sort of makes sense when you look at the mall project, because when the Maud Street Mall got put in here, which was based on US success, in the late 80s, the US started pulling their malls out.
Okay.
So here we are 25 years later, pulling our mall out.
Yeah.
Do you know? So we're sort of slowly catching up. So there was proposals in the late 90s to have the mall redeveloped after it was put in, but obviously it took, over 20 years to eventually, I guess encourage the councillors and let them see the vision of what this space could look like if we get some traffic movement in there. So yeah, it's been a big project, and I'm really confident moving forward it'll have huge success.
Yeah, it sounds great. Why is it important for you to be on the council?
Well, I think, with the 9 spots that are effectively available, I look at it as that, as I said to you, I'm 33, I'm a business owner and operator, so it's the old cliche, I've got my skin in the game.
Yeah.
And not a lot of councillors, not necessarily here, but elsewhere, have that. So they're invested, but in different ways. So I've literally got, genuine investment in the community. I still play community sport, married with 2 young kids, so we're across the kinders. Jacob's going to school next year, so, and then as I said, I've got other family that are involved in other industries as well that form a big part of why, Greater Shepparton is so successful, is that if I can bring those skills and my own skills to the table, then I think I can play a big part in one of 9 seats, sitting around the council table. So, I just sort of see myself as that genuine, real person on the ground, connected to the community, and being able to be that voice for whoever it wants. I feel that I'm approachable. I've been brought up to use the mobile phone. Don't be afraid to pick up the phone, speak to people, hear their ideas, hear their needs, hear their wants, whatever it might be. I'm here, and I've got no problem asking the questions and making sure that we can, position ourselves in a really good state moving forward. So,
be the voice of the people. Does that mean the majority of the people?
Anyone. I guess when I came up with, you have slogans when you run for council, and there were, the old, you have plenty that get put across, and I thought, why am I running? Like, why do I want to be on council, and what is going to be the reason for people to hopefully vote me in? And it literally is, to be their voice, and that is anyone. So I haven't segregated it.
Yes.
I'm involved in business. That's one part of my life. I have young children, so that's family life, and then I've got sport life, and then I do other community work as well. So I feel that I'm across many different sectors of our community, and I felt that I want to be the voice for whoever wants to come to me, whether you're in business, whether you work for a government agency, whether you're unemployed, whatever it might be, I'm here.
Yeah. I've seen you supporting local businesses in the community, and I was having a chat to a couple of my other friends who own businesses, and they've said that you've came and networked with them and taken the time to hear what they have to say, and you've taken the time to have a chat to me today. And I think that speaks volumes.
I've got no problem talking to anyone. I love going out meeting with people, and I did it with Telstra, so that probably gave me, sort of that good stepping stone to walk in. It's like cold calling. And my wife says to me, she goes, I don't know how you do it. Like, how do you go and talk to these business people? I'm like, no, I love it.
Yeah.
I want to know what's going on. I want to know how you're going. And a business owner walking into another business, we're like one big family. Although retail and hospitality isn't doing that well at the moment, and many other industries are doing extremely well, everyone understands the challenges that business owners face, which is, employing staff, paying wages, rent, all the factors that provide all the challenges to run a successful business, that when I go in and see them, they're just happy to have one of them wanting to put their hand up. And then it's the same when I'm speaking to people at Jacob's Kinder or his local soccer or all my footy mates and coaches and all those type of things. That it's the exact same thing, is that I've got no problem meeting anyone, anywhere to talk about anything.
Have you found that that's increased though since you've became like a face of the Shepparton community? Like everyone wants to give you their 2 cents?
Yeah, probably. I mean, once I announced publicly, then you're probably hearing from different community groups. But I knew that was going to happen. And I've made a real conscious effort to get out to as many community organisations, outside of, I guess, our 3 main cities, Shep, Maroubra and Takeshura. So I was at Katandra West during the week as well, and I always know someone there. Sport connects you with everyone, and you're always going to know someone. That's good because you have that natural connection with someone there, and then we all just want the same outcome. Yeah. We want a council that is genuinely passionate and invested in our community, sitting around the table making decisions for our future. It's not that complicated. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's what I'd want.
Exactly.
Someone who genuinely cares, sitting around the table.
Yeah, definitely. How does your life change if you get elected? Because by the sounds of it, you have a lot of responsibility already.
Yeah. I won't say that it won't change. I don't know. It's probably a good question.
You don't know the answer exactly.
Yeah, look, I mean, like I said, briefings, as we were chatting earlier off air, briefings are part of the day. So a lot of my Shep Show Me responsibility was after hours, and that provided its own challenges, obviously with wanting to play sport and young family. But if you put your hand up to do it, you've got to give 100%. Mm-hmm. And I've sort of proven that with my role with Shep Show Me. And I guess now with council, the fact of the briefings happening through the week and during business hours, well, I'll have to just manage my, time, accordingly, and I'll put some things in place, and I've already sort of preempted how things might look, and I've got full support from, my parents who we're involved in business with, but there is also the responsibility that if I start costing the business, then I need to put things in place to compensate me not being there. So council becomes just as a bigger priority as what it is running businesses as well, throughout the day. So it's not as if one's more important than the other. I've put my hand up to want to represent the community, and I need to make sure that I'm responsible for being there at briefings, at council meetings, at community events, and I just need to manage my time, but I'll work it out as I go through.
How do you think the community perceives the council?
Probably depends who you ask.
100%.
I think that a lot of the community probably don't actually understand exactly what council do.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel that we're on the ground and we're really approachable. I've got no problem with any of the councillors. Their mobile numbers are on the websites. You can make appointments to catch up with them, and even now, we're all across social media. We're getting hit with questions, and that's all fine. That's good. Ask as many questions as you want. That I think sometimes they think that councillors are responsible for everything that happens within the community. But a lot of it is driven from, state and federal government.
Yes.
Like all the roads aren't council roads. So effectively High Street and Wyndham Street, they're state roads.
Okay.
So they're big roads.
Yeah.
They're not, council-owned roads. So just little things like that. But in saying that, we are the voice for the community, and we have to deliver on their expectations on being able to work closely with state and federal government. And we do have some really good members here that represent state and federal that I've got a good relationship as well. So that obviously helps, if I am elected, that, you can advocate for things that might be concerning the community. But I think it's just, perhaps I think the way council sell some of their projects is always around the budget. Look, I'm supportive of the art museum, obviously, Sam. I think that's going to be great for our community, but it's being sold as, a $40 million project or a $50 million, whatever it is.
Okay.
But, let's talk about what it's going to do for our community. Let's look at it like that way. So the majority can understand how beneficial this might be for us, So now, should we be investing that much into it? Possibly not. Has it exceeded its budget? Obviously. So that requires better internal management of funds, and that's where I think I can help as well, and getting a better understanding of, when business plans get presented, that we make sure we follow those right through and don't exceed the budgets, because it effectively does cost the community. And I think that's where a lot of uproar comes from, that we are willing to support projects and investment, but we need to be mindful that we're cost effective.
And I think the people who perceive the council negatively, a lot of it's got to do with the transparency. Like the way that you just delivered exactly what was happening then, I think that would soften a lot of people and help them understand that, like you said, the roads, those aren't our roads. We can only do this, and we need to pay more attention to the budget and et cetera, et cetera.
Well,
because, like you said, people just see, $50 million over budget, and they think the council aren't doing a good job, but it's just because they're not paying enough attention to exactly what is happening. Yeah,
probably. Look, people are time poor. So that's why I'm saying our messaging needs to be very clear.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what you said. Transparency plays a massive part. Communication to our community plays a massive part. People don't have time to look into the nitty-gritty as to why we've exceeded a budget. And I've been in the same boat. I have a lot of the questions that the community concerns, I should say, have raised with me over the past, say, 6 or 7 weeks, more specifically, during my campaign, are exactly the same concerns I've had. Why has that cost that much? Why aren't we doing this? Why do they get this and why can't we get that? Whatever it might be. It's the exact same. We're all the same people. That's why I said I think we all want the same outcomes. About how we deliver on that. And I think that the communication that comes out of the council building could be improved in being able to break it down in simple terms so people can understand, because we are time poor, and just simply say, this is why we're investing X amount in whatever project it might be. This is our intent of what it's going to deliver. And as a community, we need to buy into this.
Yeah, I think the community would really appreciate that. I think that's a solution to a lot of problems on the way that the council is perceived.
Yeah, I think. It's simple things. We're living here, so we're proud of this region, I presume.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a choice where they want to live.
Yes.
And, I love this place. I love the region. I'm really patriotic to this region, and I think everyone else is as well. We just want to make sure that the decisions that are getting made are in the best interest of the community. They're affordable, so they don't impact us long term. And that, as councillors, is where effectively our responsibility lies. The reality is that we've got a job to do to manage the internal funds, infrastructure projects, and we need to make sure that we're doing them in the best interest of the community.
When you vote on decisions and topics, are you allowed to be open to the community on how you are voting? And
no.
what you're backing, or is it you have to kind of keep it under the rug?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to have that open mind. So I guess, the ruling is more that you've got to be, you can't be, I guess you need to be open to be convinced. Do you know what I mean? So,
yes.
It'd be like if I just said, I want to paint that wall red. No matter what, I'm painting it red. Don't care what anyone says.
Yeah.
I've made up my mind, I'm painting it red, which means that I've disregarded any of my other councillors' suggestions as to why we should paint it orange.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? And then you effectively wouldn't be able to vote on that because you've already got a preconceived opinion.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful of, what you say publicly, obviously, because a lot of the information is confidential. But the reality is that you're one of 9, and if you're not convinced one way or the other, that's what the other councillors are there for you to do, is to help convince you one way or the other, to show you why we should paint that orange or we should paint that red.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to be open-minded, and I think that plays a big part, and just take every situation on its own merits and just, make the best decision with all the information you have, and that way, you can sort of sleep at night because you've made the most informed decision.
Yeah, great. I've been keeping up to date with everyone who's elected, and I've really enjoyed the way that you've run your campaign, and you seem highly motivated. How do you maintain that for 4 years?
Maybe if I get elected, ask me in 4 years. But look, like I said, I'm passionate about the region, and the title of being a councillor, I guess I understand we have responsibilities, but I just really want to do it because I love this place, and I'm invested for the long run. Like I said, I've got a long-standing family history here. We're invested into the community. I want to keep that going. We live in the best region in Victoria and in Australia. I mean, where else would you want to be? The reality is, we're in the center. We're actually at the center point of everything.
Yes.
We're 2 hours from Melbourne. We're 2 hours from the snowfields. We're virtually an hour from the Murray River. We've got the best climate. We're so lucky here. Yes, we don't have some things that perhaps other places have, but that's going to be everywhere. And what I love about this place is we actually drive our own economy. We're massive with agriculture. Yeah. We're massive with manufacturing. Transport is huge. You step outside the CBD at the moment because clearly we've got restrictions in place, and everyone is doing so well. Mm-hmm. So that makes me feel proud, and I think that energy that comes from within the town helps me and would help other councillors to keep moving forward. I'm someone that's very progressive, as in, okay, what are we doing tomorrow? I don't really care how things were in the past. What are we doing tomorrow? How can we better this place for tomorrow? I've got young kids. How is it going to be for them into the future? So, they are effectively my motivation to make sure that in 20 years, 30 years time, that I can say to my own kids, let alone the next generation coming through, that you don't realise how good you've got it now, because this is how it was. So I want it to be better in the future than what it is now. I don't like it when I hear people say Shepparton was better 20 years ago or 15 years ago or 30 years ago. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Maybe because I didn't live it. But the reality is I think we're very well positioned now. We're kicking goals, and I want us to just keep powering forward and show, Metro Melbourne now, because you're going to have a lot of people that are going to want to move out.
Yes.
They've got to come now, and we've got to be ready for them.
I love it. I love Shepparton too, and I see it as it could be. And the things you just stated, I think it's obvious that you're grateful for them, and I like that your focus is in that area. 2 last questions. Who locally inspires you?
I mentioned obviously John Anderson.
Yes.
He's been a really great mentor with me and someone that I can relate with pretty well. And then my own family, pretty good. My dad, clearly, easily by a mile. I mean, he's taught me the most basic skills to give yourself every opportunity to have success, and it's communication, enabling people to engage with you. I mean, we got taught from a young age to pick up the phone and call people, and if we didn't, we weren't allowed to go to the movies or whatever it was. And people might think, that seems a bit extreme, but when you meet people that don't want to pick up the phone, they're the ones that are constantly behind emails, constantly texting. I call and you get the answers straight away. So communication, being able to engage with different people, we're all equal. That sort of humble approach of just having good values and understanding that what you stand for is authentic, and hopefully the community sort of can see that and just do things in a natural way. Like, I'm running for council just because I love the region.
Yes.
There's no real, that's the hardest question to answer. Why are you running for council? And you feel like if you say, I love the region and I'm so passionate about it, that's someone, the community expect a better response. Do you know what I mean? But that's it. This is my home and I'm so invested in it, and I've had a good grounding and a good upbringing, and I hand that to my mum and dad, obviously more than anyone, and then John Anderson, and I've got a very, very supportive wife as well. I guess, in perhaps her mind, she would probably want me at home a little bit more often, but I know the journey, I like to say, we're on.
Yeah.
And my parents sacrificed a lot to give me an opportunity, and I need to be able to do that for my boys growing up, to have an opportunity because mum and dad did this. So it's just sort of flow-on effect. So they definitely inspire me more than anyone.
How do you think you get those lessons across to youth these days?
Look, I think I know. Look, we live in a digital world, and a couple of things that I'm proposing is better ways of communicating. But you can't replicate face-to-face discussions and round-table discussions. And I really feel that with the youth that are coming through now, so engaged with, see, their phones, iPads, technology, and that's fine. But you need that traditional form of communication to help them see what is possible, and help them understand things a bit better. So, yourself, you have discussions via Zoom now. It is so different to how it would be if you were in real life.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening now. A lot of the information we get fed is through, the phones, the net, and that's fine. But I think if we can take it back a little bit with the grassroots sort of teachings of getting as many people as we can in front of each other to help teach them and help guide our next generation through, which is, making them feel included in our community, showing them the opportunities that are available. And, I've always helped, even, at Shepparton High School, I'd go there and speak to, young year 10 students, and just being able to speak with them. That's what people want. They just want to be able to sit down and talk with someone. And I think it's the same now, that the community are willing to buy into anything that gets proposed. They just want to hear from real people about what it is and how we can jump in and support it.
Beautiful. I'm happy with that. Do you want to leave the Shepparton community with any last messages or words?
Look, I mean, I hope the community is buying into what I'm putting across. I'm genuinely invested in the community. I'm all for the region about, things moving forward. I've got a young family, and I really want the community, if they've got any, ideas or concerns they've had, please reach out to me across, obviously, my socials or my website as well. I'm here. I want to catch up with whoever it might be. But if you're happy with everything the way it's going, your ballot papers are going to arrive this week, and I ask you that you vote one Shane Sali.
Awesome. Thank you, Shane.
Thanks, mate.